didn't work. I mean, just for context, but also when I talked to Brandon about this, I was saying it'd be awesome if you could figure out a way to have some strategic times that you were there for every sport. I mean, maybe y'all already covered that before, but like, because you can't be at every sport all the time. You know, I know sometimes you try to be there for football as much as possible, but how could you just have one thing that you did special for each sport? And maybe it was a key opponent they were facing. If you look at the calendar, okay, that's a big opponent. It's at home. We could go be part of that. And that way, throughout the year, you're sort of spreading the support and spreading like the spirit vibe. So anyway, I'm just here to learn. Those are just initial thoughts.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what all y'all done.
I think that's perfect. I think that's good. And I think we're going to could we hit that in a second? One thing I wanted to ask is just from y'all's perspective, why RedZone? Why are you involved? Like, why does RedZone exist? And we asked this question last year, but I think that y'all might have a different flavor than other groups. You know what I'm saying? So in your perspective, like, why RedZone? Like, why are we in existence?
Well, I think it's important for like games and stuff to have things like run by students, because I know that like me personally as a student, I always respond more when like my peers and stuff are running it and things like that. Just because like you feel like they get what you're saying, and like you can say like, hey, can you guys try to do this? And you know it'll actually like probably be brought up somewhere, it might happen, type of thing. So I know that like I can trust more in the like students running like typing these types of things. Not that the teachers aren't great.
No, we're not great. I understand.
We're terrible.
That's right. No, that's good.
And it's especially cool to like see like Jackson and like all my friends last year like talking in front of the school and stuff like that. It like got me more like interested in it, because it's like not just like another teacher. It's like, oh yeah, like, he's my friend. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Is Jackson part of this?
He's like
He is. He's not here today. He's probably watching this video, so we'll diss him a lot. All right. Cool. That's good. Anybody else have any thoughts on that?
I think for me, because I was underclassmen the past 2 years, for my freshman year, and it feels connected to like, you know, the rest of the grades and at least the high school itself. But, like this past year, I felt more connected like throughout the grades, and that I was, you know, I had more effect on the school than just like me being there, you know, because we were more. I was more involved in things because people wanted me there, and I felt, you know, people were more glad to see me there.
It's good. Yeah. Go ahead. If y'all have anything else, come on. Come on. What's up, Michael? Way to show up on time. Right? I'm messing with him. I know, Mike. You can sit over here if you want. You don't have to sit over here. Good to see you. Any other thoughts?
It's fun. RedZone's so much fun.
Yeah.
Like it just like student council like brings like grades together, but like RedZone brings the whole high school together, so it makes us all feel like connected and like makes the atmosphere at games better, and like yeah. It brings like it makes like everyone
like the sidelines.
Yeah.
It's always been like fun seeing like the people like support each other.
And I know it's like, especially like when we were all freshmen, like the RedZone people are like, we like looked up to them and like we like liked hearing what they had to say and stuff like that. So
Cool. Cool. Anything else? Can we think of anything else at all? All right, so just a couple of things. Can we just go over real quick? And this will be the last time we really talk about last year, because I'm big on this is going to be different than last year. That's okay. You know what I mean? In both, I would say, in positive way. But what were some of the positive things that we felt like, and this kind of goes to what Mr. House was saying, what were some of the positive things that we saw last year that we want to accentuate, continue?
Like support.
A lot of effort was put forth during tailgates and kind of setting up.
yeah, and it showed, like you could tell.
good.
Yeah.
Did y'all like that?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
That's a great idea, by the way.
They would like stall it out football games.
Yeah.
Well, at least at first.
Wait, can you say what that is? I mean,
B-I-C-O-R-Y.
no, I mean the spirit stick.
Yeah. So like Connor found out.
Yeah.
She painted on a spirit stick, and then so Julie Albertson, she would like scream out to every grade, and they would like basically echo her
During
And whoever's
during pep
loudest.
rallies, like football games.
Yeah.
And we'd see who would get like the hypest, and then whoever would get like the
Well,
loudest,
like-
whatever.
So like she made like Connor
Okay,
made
my
like
sister
the
was a
spirit
cheerleader,
stick
she did
for
something
cheer
similar.
camp, and then we brought it back to the school, basically.
Oh, so it started at cheer camp.
Didn't it
Yeah.
start at cheer
Yeah.
camp? And then
At cheer camp, they do one.
Yeah.
We're like,
We
we
made our
thought
own.
we would do one last
That was great. You know, that was great.
I know people paid a lot of attention or like came to like tailgates that had where you like made a shirt, you like spray paint
Yeah.
on it and stuff. I know a lot of people responded to that because I always saw more people showing out when there was like a shirt offer, like you can make something, or there was like because everyone wants like a free shirt.
Was the majority of people at tailgates underclassmen? That's what I thought I always saw.
There were a lot
I
of.
saw a
So
lot
people
of
try to get more.
There was upperclassmen, yeah.
The only thing is like the upperclassmen, a lot of them were playing
Are
football
playing
and
football.
cheerleading.
Yeah.
So it's a little harder to get them out.
Especially like our grade.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Everyone's
We
Like
last
our
year-
grade, like
Last
what?
year, I like stopped by when we were like walking up to the field, but like
But
we
that's-
can't
yeah.
like walk.
And it's so funny because I remember there was one game, it was like a whiteout, but it was at a different school and no juniors were there. And I'm like, actually, the juniors were there. They were just all on the field and like everybody else had stuff. So it's like,
Yeah.
yeah. But
Was that the Lovett game?
I think, I don't remember.
Yeah, because I remember that too. I remember seeing like,
Yeah.
cool.
So, yeah, especially I saw a lot of like the younger kids participating in that kind
Like
of
the
stuff, which
middle
is important too.
schoolers.
Yeah, because like I got to meet so many like 6th and 7th and 8th graders from just like doing that, and I thought it was really cool. Just like
Yeah.
reach out through high school. So
It's good.
Yeah.
Good. Any other positives you thought last year?
the retreat, like hype thing that we did was
Yeah.
it was
so fun.
like I've never seen the whole high school be that crazy.
The retreat before last year, I always didn't want to go. But
Yeah.
last year was so
Yeah.
It's like I'll call it a pep rally. I hate to call it that
Yeah,
because,
it was.
but it was fun. We were really scared. We thought that like no one was gonna.
Yeah,
Yeah,
That's
we
what
were
we
like,
were
no, the
excited.
cheerleaders were scared too. We're like,
I was
oh my
really
gosh, if they don't
Because
say
they
anything.
normally don't do anything at games with
That
us.
was
Yeah.
the first time
No, I remember everyone was getting so
Yeah,
excited
they're like,
because
oh,
all the
this is
freshmen
fun.
were like freaking out and all the freshmen were like screaming.
Yeah.
So it was like, we gotta beat the
Yeah.
freshmen.
No one would see. Yeah.
I'm asking Mr. Wilson about that, seeing if we could possibly do it again.
Oh yes, definitely.
It was a lot of fun.
That
Was it right at the end?
It was like
It was the last day.
Yeah.
It's like our little meeting before we left. Yeah.
Were you not here?
I just had my baby.
Oh, that's
so I think
right.
I
Oh.
was holding an
You had something important.
infant, yes. But yeah, okay, that's cool. So you got everybody hyped, and then you went to the
Yeah.
retreat?
Yeah, it was Dr. Vic, I think, came up and like had like a 5-minute talk on what it means to be a Spartan.
Yeah.
And then
Oh, inspirational.
Yeah.
Jackson.
We were playing like the
Started playing
old
with us.
Red Zone anthem.
that was like spur of the moment.
So we were there.
It was.
I feel like
I've
It
always
was a
wanted
little
somebody to
bit.
give a hype speech with everybody oohing to Amazing Grace behind. If you've ever done it, if any
That
of you
would
begin
be
to give
so
a speech,
funny.
something comes over you, and you're just like, yes, and like the greatest speech comes out of you. Everybody's
Yeah.
humming Amazing Grace.
You can lead us that. Well, I'll follow you.
That was good.
Just like baptisms after.
Yeah.
That's not the point. Confused.
Should I put that down? No. All right. Very good. Any other positives that you saw? Could be specific, could be broad.
I specifically remember the scrimmage against Woodward being like the craziest game of the whole year, and I like want to figure out a way to maintain that energy. Because I remember even like when the season was over, so like everyone was like, nothing's gonna replace that game. And the year before it was the camo out. 'Cause
Yeah.
that's when everybody was going crazy too for whatever reason. Maybe because they were in camo, but I don't know.
Yeah,
But,
that's
yeah. I don't
Came
know.
out every game.
Yeah, every game. So,
No, that's good.
Yeah, I think
That's
I'm
good.
gonna make it better. Instead of, like, just
So I guess
You know, some people would be like,
you'll have some more stuff.
no, I was thinking of a toga out in the clear And then I was like, well, some people could wear a little less toga than they should be. So I could get a little more juicy.
That's right.
We need to have like super creative outs this year.
Yeah,
Just, like,
I feel like I do.
And I
Yeah.
feel like the ones like assigned to the game should be released more than just like the week before.
Yeah.
So
no,
everyone
because
can
I
prepare
remember
for it.
there being so much confusion. Like Manning would tell me one thing, and then,
And then
other
everyone would
group
hear
chat would
something
say
else.
something else.
Yeah.
Correct.
I think it's
Yeah,
the
that got
schedule, like
confusing.
before we even started,
Yeah.
like if we kind of like
Says like the
made
date.
it like that
I
before.
think so.
Yeah.
we
Because
got
like
into the
we should
season,
just-
people
it
would
was-
know like the
Yeah.
day before, and like it just didn't work.
Yeah, I'd be like, oh, I can't go.
Because
on
some
now.
people want to be like,
Yeah.
is that have time to go to Party City, get whatever, like
Yeah.
whoever like doesn't have. I know I did. Like I wanted to like.
Or the
Yeah.
literally like,
Hey, do you have a
picture,
That's like-
please.
yeah.
I need a picture. I was like, short.
That's good.
You see, just see Snapchat stories. Does anyone have blank colored
Yeah.
chairs? Like, whatever. Like 2 hours before the game. It's fine. So yeah.
It was no, that was a huge problem.
Yeah.
Actually, that was huge. Our communication could have been much clearer, better. You know, proactive. You know.
So I think what would be a good idea is like, obviously it might like change throughout the year, but like before school starts, we all get together and like look at every football home game or every whatever, and like say this is going to be the out for that week, and just have a full schedule
Like
instead
put it
of
around the
deciding
high
like
school.
and
if
then
they-
just say and then just like post it and be like, okay, that week
Or if
we're
they could
at.
let someone announce it during like a Monday chapel, so it's
Yeah.
not right before the game.
Yeah, just something like, I mean, obviously, like we can have like a rough thing and like change it if we want to, but I think it'd probably be a good idea to just like have that all written out before all that gets going.
And you
So-
should try to expand it a little bit more to other sports too.
Oh,
Because,
yeah,
like, during
definitely.
During
Yeah.
basketball
Like,
games,
what-
especially this year, it came up like there's a lot more people than I've seen like in like a little while.
A lot more people care about
So
basketball.
it's gonna be more and more people that are coming out, especially after the state win. So they're gonna try to come up more.
For like softball too, like the
Softball,
sports
Yeah,
that,
softball, like
like,
there's a lot of
the sports that don't get a lot of
That's what
attention though is like what we have to
Yeah.
focus on
Yeah.
too. Because I feel like really like I try to make them, but I feel really bad because like football games and basketball games are like so big
Yeah.
and like
Like yeah, if we kind of try to expand it to a little bit more, and like it's like the track and field. Like I know like some like the track and field and like the wrestling, they take like really long days. We don't have to stay there like, the whole time, but if you come to like kind of like the main events, like the relays or like something like that, like a whole bunch of us come in for it, and we kind of like know like a general time of when it would be, and I think that would like help a lot to see like at least just get like people behind it, because like I remember coming in like senior night for wrestling last year, it was just like no one was there, and it was just kind of like
yeah.
dang.
Yeah.
So okay,
Cross country.
Mhm.
Yeah.
bingo.
Cross country would be so fun.
You can't decide.
There's no
Cross
cross
country, you could like
There's
line
no
up on the
choice.
side and like cheer them, and then like
Yeah.
run to another place on the other side.
Yeah.
So let me kind of
Do
just
people
speak.
show up at things like chess? No.
Oh,
I know we can't.
It's just a total
mock trial.
black and
No, we can't.
That'd be fun.
Yes.
Yeah, black and white.
Awesome.
That'd be fun.
That would be awesome.
We could have hats that are like the queen and the,
Yes.
anyway. So here's the challenge. You ready? So I'll give you some challenges from last year. Just after last year being kind of the first time that I've kind of seen it from that perspective. If our why is, and this is from what y'all said, peers are trusted to run events to support each other, community, connections to the rest of the grades. People are excited to come to events. If we did what we did last year, we're not hitting those things. And what I mean by that is, what was the focus? The focus was football, right?
Yeah.
And really, to be honest, that even waned from the
Yeah.
beginning of the year to even to
I think-
playoffs.
I don't think
that
a
way,
lot of that
you know?
probably wasn't RedZone's fault. It was just because like every single game they'd blow them out, and I don't think that was. I mean,
Yeah.
some of it might have been, but it was more just like everyone who didn't go is like they're just gonna beat them anyway. So like,
Yeah.
who cares?
That's
But
true.
I mean, like if
Because maybe every
if
It's a
that
great
can't
point,
be
isn't it?
changed this year, then there. I mean, I don't know. Like I don't like.
Here's what I would say, and right now, you're saying, man, I'm all in every week, every game. You know, life happens, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amelia's got how many ever tests in a given week. She can't show up for that specific thing. That's not on her. There's just, you're busy, right?
Yeah.
Y'all are expected to do a lot, right? Garner's got plays, choir productions, all these things, right? That's tough on you. So we can't make everything the Super Bowl. It's just the reality of it. And that's not bad. That's not a diss on you. We've just got to be strategic in saying, okay, maybe we make this football game and this football game our Super Bowl until they get to playoffs, right? Maybe we don't have a tailgate every week. That might not, or maybe we bring it down to where it's just pizza or something.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
a lot of people might have gotten tired of the same thing every Friday, like
'Cause we could
tailgates and
do-
stuff.
yeah,
but
like,
like
pick,
you could
like-
do like different
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah,
We could
before
pick
the
like
games.
certain days, maybe like 4 or 5.
yeah,
And make them like
Oh,
really
it's
big.
Yeah.
Those days when we had like when Travis brought his like motorcycles and like we had like the big like DJ, like those were kind of like the biggest days that we had like the most turnout for, especially like the upperclassmen. Because I know like the underclassmen usually they'll stay at GAC because they can't drive anywhere, so they'll stay at GAC and just hang out there. So like we're always gonna have like their kind of like turnout to always stay there, but if we kind of can get like at least the juniors like next year to come out a little bit more and like have those big kind of just like really big
Yeah, 'cause
Super
we're
Bowl
always
tailgate things.
Yeah.
Like, even just like if they were just like really big and then like really kind of like a decently small
Yeah.
one.
And like if we do less tailgates, that means like the better that each of them will be, because like we have all this time to plan it,
Mhm.
and it's not just going to be a thing where like just put up the tent and we'll do whatever.
Yeah.
type
There's,
thing.
there's what, 5 home games during the year, 6 maybe?
I think there's 5 this year.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think just people got tired of it, so they just didn't show up for the games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially since we did have a lot of home games this year, because we had like 8, I think, and
Yeah.
it was just like 8 big tailgates. It's just kind of like as the year goes on, it kind of just dwindles down to like, oh, there's the 9 box thing, whatever it was called, and then there's the cornhole. It's just like the same thing, and like maybe if like each like tailgate we got different games to play that was something like new, like just kind of like have like just one big party thing, because like each time we had can jam and the 9-hole and like all that stuff. But then if we had like one day it was just like only like a whole like a few like rows of can jam, like a few things of cornhole, and like just that for the thing, I think it would really focus it on. Like, oh, that's kind of new, that's different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, competition's always fun.
And I know that the thing that I saw a lot with like the younger kids, like in middle school and younger, they'd always like, if we're not going to do tailgates every time, then we could have like a little like place like on the sidelines where they could come get their like face painted and stuff, because they can't ask their parents to drive them to go get paint or whatever, so it's like
And you could do it for like, this might be a little, but like do it for like little kids too, just if they're like
That's good.
interested, so they can like get into it. Because I mean they're
could
gonna
set
be
up,
in
like,
high
a
school
table or
soon, so
something.
like to
Yeah.
get them like interested in sports and stuff, like get
Oh.
them involved.
Yeah, that reminds me, like, we should have, so we have all these, like, pep rallies, and Jackson coming up and talking to the high school or whatever, like, we go more to middle school and younger, just to, like, let them maybe not be, like, as exciting, like, don't freak the elementary kids out, but, like, we could, like, go and talk to them during whenever we can, like, during their lunches or chapels or something.
Either chapels, yeah. That's what I love.
Yeah.
And what y'all are saying about if you did less,
I love that.
that you could do them better quality and just
Yeah.
make them like Super Bowl, but it also would benefit your effort to balance throughout the year, wanting to be at more sports. That way you're not just overloading one sport and then trying to get everything else in. You're doing a couple really well and then pacing yourself to do the other sports as well.
Yeah.
It just sounds like that's what y'all are saying.
Yeah.
It's good.
I think that, like, going to elementary, middle school chapels can be easily arranged, so I don't think that'll be a problem. And I know that you did you do the elementary one for camp?
Mhm.
Didn't they like freak out when you like threw
Yeah.
candy? So like we could do stuff like that and like things like that. So.
Me,
I remember like back in like 5th grade when like the football players would come and like they would like do like their little like football
carpool.
thing, yeah, and like their
Yeah.
carpool things. Like if we
Yeah.
had like a RedZone carpool, like we went to
We
like,
get hyped.
the chapels and like I remember like they would like the football players came in and chapel like threw football to like a few of the kids, and it was just like the coolest thing ever. Because you were like, that's pretty
Yeah.
sick.
My sister,
Because
they
all
had,
them, like,
football
look up to
players
you,
out in
you know,
carpool,
like,
like
yeah.
cheerleaders, and they
It's
loved it.
They get so excited. Like
Really?
and their parents
Yeah.
are like taking pictures of you like
Yeah.
with their kids. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm not a celebrity. But like if that's how you feel.
But
I
you
can
feel
see it.
so good
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
yourself.
Like,
It's like,
like,
I can't do
hey.
any wrong. Like everyone loves me, but even though
So we need a boost of confidence. Is
Yeah.
this-
Has the
Makes you
cheerleaders
feel
or
good.
band ever been part of this?
Yeah, the
we
band
did
play when the
carpool.
For
at carpool
homecoming.
band plays, but also they have like a chapel where the football team comes in and the band plays up like
That's cool.
Doesn't the band like go around the school?
They do on Friday.
Yeah,
game
Friday
days?
game
Don't-
days.
Yeah, they
It
do
was
that.
for homecoming that like we all went to like
The cheerleading.
Yeah.
football.
Yeah.
I was just picturing it. I don't. If the cheerleaders ever showed up to a tailgate and had a specific time of
We
like,
couldn't. We
Yeah.
They didn't have
We
time.
have like
Wow.
stuff,
But I think
but like I feel
we
like
could
if we
definitely go to-
talk to coaches, we can like
they can
get
make Devo or
Yeah.
save Devo every
'Cause if
week,
we
and
could
you
get,
could do it
like-
a little bit earlier,
Yeah.
and then just push like.
or
go
we
to
can
tailgate.
like get
Because I would always
switch,
stop by
like, get ready,
tailgates, but I was
and
always
then,
so
like,
sad
go
that
to
I couldn't
tailgate for,
like
like,
stay
and
and
then
then
come
come
back
back
to
to
Devo.
Yeah.
It'd be cool to be able to
Even if you
connect
can-
with that, to be able to get y'all there
Yeah.
for at
Yeah,
least
if
a
y'all
little
could
bit.
get
like,
like 10, 15
we-
minutes of just kind of like
I
y'all doing
know.
like a little like cheer, kind of like
Yeah, we
Like,
used
we
to
could,
like
like,
for like everyone
hate
to
it.
see
we
and
could
kind of
like
come out and
teach a
like,
cheer or
cheer
something
about.
we could do like during the game. That might
Yeah.
be a little
Oh, that would be
cheesy,
cool.
but,
Yeah,
like,
it would.
That would be cool.
we could be like, this is what time we're doing it, like between like a quarter change or whatever. We could be like, we're doing this cheer and we want you to like do it with
You want
us.
to do it at the tailgate? You're saying?
I mean,
Yeah.
like teach it to them and then like
Perfect.
tell them when we're doing it.
I know if we like teach stuff at chapel, like no one remembers it.
Yeah.
Like
And also sometimes people don't care. They'll
Yeah.
be sleeping.
they'll be like, yeah,
I know like the main.
Let's be real.
like
And the pep rallies during the
oh yeah,
school
pep
year,
rallies.
like,
We gotta
it's
change
turned
that.
into a showcase and not of getting everyone excited.
No more lights. No more lights.
No more lights.
No more lights.
No more
I think that
Like the lights is like
the only
ugh.
cheers that people were like super down for was the ones that we learned at the retreat.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
except like there was like one that nobody really cared about, but like I think it was just because
Yeah.
it was super
I feel
long
like we
and
could
complicated.
find
No one was like,
cheers. Like,
Yeah,
from
we can
other
definitely, like,
schools or something
get
we could do.
stuff.
I know I
Shit,
really
do it,
liked
Molly.
when we copied
Do
Atlanta
that, it'd be
United
sweet.
and did that like whole like clapping.
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah,
that
that's
was
some
my
reading
favorite.
I haven't done yet.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
yes, thingies.
Oh, we have to get the trash can to like spray paint the trash
Yeah.
can. All that. It was so annoying, but I like.
No, bro, we hated it so much because we're like cheering and we're like, I'm like, oh my
But
god.
I mean, Garrison won't be in the
Something
stands
Yeah.
now, so it might go to a lesser
Yeah.
extent.
That's why we have to like get all this stuff like in the summer. Like
Yeah.
paint trash cans, like have an extra set. in
They
case
just
one
like
get,
yeah, they would
too
they would
hammered
either
too
The more
hard, like-
durable ones. They broke
I
after like
like
1
there's
year.
the
Yeah,
I like
big
the
ones.
fun
was like
ones.
the
That was
bombers
good.
like,
every time you hit it, no
Do you-
one's
did they look cool?
Yeah,
They were
Yeah.
so
They-
cool.
That's what we
they
should
were
have like
Everyone's super interested.
especially in the cold because they would kind of like linger just for a little bit longer and just look really cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's cool.
So one main thing that was probably going to be brought up eventually that I want to talk about is the RedZone video. So
Yeah, no, that gotta go right now.
not to be like insulting or anything, but that was literally a second video for the seniors, and like everybody was like, "Where's the rest of the high school?" And I think that like especially with like some of us being seniors this year, I think it's like what I want to look at more importantly is like including more people in that, because I remember like like a lot of people were just watching and like,
Yeah.
where was I with it? I mean, like I know the cheerleaders were invited, like the
But, like,
younger
the
ones,
thing
but, like,
is-
no, but
So
they
they
said
said,
no.
I know.
So much stuff
I was
happened.
told to come.
The day of the
I was told to come, and then I was
Yeah.
texted not to come. So, and then it said class of 2018. I'm like, you gotta be
Love it.
kidding me.
Yeah, it was kind of just.
And it's
very
like it was a
exclusive.
really good
And
video.
no,
I'm not gonna lie, but like I would like we need to get like
all the
freshmen in there,
seniors
maybe
in
even
state.
like younger
No one else
kids, like everybody
Yeah.
needs to be in it because
Like
so
Tyler-
many more people make up RedZone and like are
The RedZone's like the whole
Yeah.
school.
Yeah.
I feel like
I
it's
think
like even like the
we could
little
get kind of like
kids,
go into like
I mean,
I
that
know
we're,
it
like,
might be very
representing
disruptive,
them
but go
I
into
love
like a
that. No,
classroom
you're right.
and kind of just like whatever
Going
who's ever
crazy?
in there,
Yeah.
and just go crazy. Just
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
have like some more like videos, like or
Yeah.
kind of like a video because it was just like it was very kind of like you noticed that they made
'Cause
they took all the videos in almost. In
I
one
remember
day.
like
Yeah.
looking
Yeah,
at
it was
that
just
video.
in the same spot. If we did it like all over the campus and kind of like making sure getting in the village, the middle school, the
Because
elementary,
yeah,
and
they're
then,
a
like,
big
the high
part of
school.
it, and
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
So I remember like me sitting next to a couple girls. I don't remember who they were, but we were looking at that. And we were looking at each other like we have to include people in ours. That's the first thing I thought. I was like, I'm not gonna be like that.
Yeah.
And like
There were no sports in it.
yeah,
Yeah.
ours. And like okay, I
Yeah, it
understand.
was.
It was like this.
hard.
We were trying to have a music video. I was like, this is not a music video, dude. It was like, come on.
The senior video, like they were all sitting out here.
Yeah.
That was so nice.
I almost took my magazine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was showing the nice cars.
Yeah.
Like a really nice car.
And they like,
Yeah.
they thought they were so fun. I was like, oh my
How
god.
was the they just
Yeah.
No, like I
That
could
one
see like I
clip
could see like
of, like,
seniors like
middle
singing
school,
like
like,
these songs.
Yeah.
Like, that makes sense.
I was like, that doesn't have to do with RedZone at all.
But like
It's a great
like
music
just
video.
like I don't know, just having people like nobody has to be in the video for that long.
Or no one
Nobody's
has
that
to
important.
sing in it. They
Yeah.
can just play background.
Yeah,
Right.
or like I mean, obviously Preston's gonna want to be like, let me drop some of my raps in there, bro.
Okay, then he
But,
can, but like,
yeah, I mean,
it
like,
doesn't have to be like the whole
Yeah.
thing.
and I remember everyone was like, it was such a big deal how everyone was like, where was I? Like I remember me and Michael were talking about this. Like, we're at football games like every week. Like, where were we? Like, why didn't we get texted or whatever? So I mean, like, especially like including everyone, it's gonna be a big thing.
That actually brings Izzy, that's a great point. And it brings up another point that I want to make sure I address. Part of it was actually a problem that I created. And I recognize that, right? And I'll own that. I don't know if you remember, but the RedZone leaders, there's like 10 of them that kind of came and they put a lot of work in. And so I actually rewarded them. We had some extra money lying around to be able to get each of them a backpack.
Yeah.
So I got them a backpack, say, hey,
I
thank
want one of
you.
those so bad.
boom, And the challenge with that, though, was that even though I knew that they put in a lot of work, it ostracized those 10 to be able to then say, well, those are the only people in RedZone. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I mean,
Because
it's
it wasn't
not-
communicated
I
in
don't
the
think it
right
was
way.
mainly your fault because that's just kind of how that grade was.
Sure.
They were like that since like sophomore year.
Yeah,
They're like,
they've always been.
I remember being in line and like one of the girls was like, I'm a sophomore, she's a freshman. And I'm like, okay, like you're not. Okay,
Sure.
it's fine.
So with that being said, I don't want to ostrich, like the fact that y'all are here, I appreciate. You're going to put in a lot of work and we're going to maybe try to find creative ways to, reward that, and we'll communicate that. But at the same time, we don't want to ostracize those people. This is something like you said, Izzy, it's something that it's a legacy that we want to pass on. Like think of it as a torch. Like I want to pass it on to make it better and allow those people to do it better behind me. If it's better in 5 years, that's because of y'all, and I think that's a great point and something to think about as we keep it going. So great. Any other thoughts y'all have? Those are some good thoughts there.
Also, with the
something that'd be-
Spirit app.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Oh,
needs to
yeah.
be more,
Yes.
We need to
like,
we need to keep it going.
There's
Yeah,
no
it-
secret
it-
that
it
that's
is
really
really
bad.
hard.
First semester was like it was booming, and then
like tell
second
everyone to
semester,
take out their
Once
phone or
prizes-
something.
Once
'cause no one
prizes stops,
remembers.
like we're like.
Do you know
not
what that
hanging
is?
out.
Yeah, so like the Spirit app was like this place or like an app where you could go. Like if I was at the softball game, I could go there, and I was like, oh, I'm here at this time, and I'm here. I press sign in. I'm at this softball game.
And you get like,
And
And
then
you
you
get,
get
like,
like
points.
10,
Like, you
20
just get,
points
like,
depending on how
points.
many or how
Yeah,
like
and,
popular
like,
the game would be or like how
like,
big a game.
spots
Points by, like,
everywhere.
So like region
Yeah.
championship was like
Rankings.
15 points I think
Yeah.
for softball, and then
Yeah.
like
You get
region
points for
or
going,
like
Football
the-
games weren't that much.
football games were like 8 points
Yeah.
because
Because
there's
everyone
so
People get
many and like they're so
individual
popular.
like awards for that, or a class gets.
I mean, like
It was
you help your
individual.
Yeah.
class, but you also get individual.
Like
Yeah.
I
and
was
you
not
leaders
sure I
keep
want-
track of it and stuff.
Yeah,
like the
there's
app
an
keeps
app
track
does.
of it.
Or
That's
they-
fine.
Like there's a like last year like there like at the beginning of the year there's like every whoever
See,
like
I've
was like
been at
had like the
football
most points at like the
games
end of
Like a
how
month.
long, yeah, like a month or something like that. Got like a backpack, and then like the two like people that were like right below them got like
Gift cards.
yeah, gift cards. Which I got like a Zaxby's gift card I think. And
Yeah.
so like that you kind of get like a little prize in there.
I think if you would just have someone at the beginning of every game,
like say,
over like a mic or something, say, hey everyone, sign in.
Or, like,
Because so many people
halftime.
forgot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
so
Dude,
I forgot. I was at every
And then
football
it'll
game.
be too late to
I had,
sign
like,
in.
0
We didn't do it at
points.
halftime, 'cause I feel like the most people are there because I remember going to
And
like
then some people
like,
would just
showing
want to
early.
get it. They just
because
want to get the
people
app.
just
Like,
show
everyone,
up
great
and
teachers.
leave.
Yeah,
You can have. I mean, you can have. I don't know if the billboard like a football game could flash something up, or
That'd be
the,
cool.
maybe the announcer could say something briefly that
yeah. I'm sure
Yeah.
like Mason
part of the red zone,
can
whatever.
probably
Yeah.
fix
You're like,
something
You
up
should check
there.
in. Thanks for coming out tonight.
Is it something
Yeah.
we nix or do y'all like it?
I liked it.
I
a lot.
like it.
Don't think it's beneficial?
I like
I
it.
thought- I thought it was
Yeah.
super cool. It
I
was
like
great.
it.
It was
Yeah.
very
I don't
competitive.
I don't think it was
It will work.
If like you push it more.
Gotcha.
I think it could be. I
Yeah.
like it, but I like it when it's used like in
More.
like more in like a good way type thing.
Yeah, and like there was like I heard from like around like people were like getting like changing their location like on their phone or like got somebody to sign in and like would like try to get like extra points from
Who cares
that.
that much?
So it's like we need to kind of like I don't know if we can, but like somehow like if like we know someone's like messing with it a
Really
little
want
bit,
that gift
kind
card.
of take their points down a little bit. Just kind of like make sure we're watching them.
Or like instead of doing it at the beginning of the game, you could do it like a random time.
Yeah.
in the game.
That's what Jackson starts.
Like,
doing.
don't open it up
Like,
until
like
like halftime.
Like halftime, third quarter.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That's
So that
Maybe
way you
not
don't have to
third
be
quarter,
there.
but like halftime, because I feel like
That's when a lot of people are there.
because some people
Especially
might
when
have to
y'all
leave.
can, start,
people
like,
come to
actually
games
using
late.
Yeah.
I also feel like because
They
like
feel like
throughout the
you're
year, a
not
lot
really
of stuff we did was all based on like the individual points, but we made it like more of like less individual, but more like group, like
That's
grade
good.
whoever's winning. They
Yeah.
get like something like every month. Whoever's winning gets a
Like,
special
yeah,
prize.
they're like,
yeah,
Donuts in the morning or
donuts.
something.
Yeah.
So it's bigger, so everyone has
Donuts
to sign
something
in.
in the morning.
Yeah, like
Like,
Everyone
special
loves
tickets.
something.
Donuts or like
I
pizza
think-
lines.
yeah.
Or something.
Yeah.
like incentives for the grade makes everyone. Yeah.
Or like some like that grade can go off campus for lunch.
Yeah.
Oh,
That might be a more of like
Yeah,
a.
that would
It could be like
But like
like,
you have
and
to be
then,
like
like
a certain amount of
thing.
points.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, like
as a
like,
grade.
people who win at the end of the semester or
Yeah.
end of the year or something like that.
Like do
Yeah.
a big party.
Along with all the RedZone.
Yeah, or like for stuff like that, you have to have like a certain like the grade have like a certain amount. Like if like seniors had like coverage points, you can get like donuts, or like every amount you have to get like the next level. Like,
Yeah.
Would it be possible to do like, let's say, like halfway through the semester we do donuts, right?
Yeah.
Would it be a good incentive maybe at the end of the year if we do like dinner and a movie at Studio Movie Grill
That would be so much
That'd
fun.
be really cool.
Oh, I love that
I
place so
remember
much.
Can you fit that
to
in
the
your
winning
video?
class?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah, food trucks.
I'm not promising that. I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah.
Coach Woodward.
Yeah.
Do the food trucks definitely.
Or you could just take like the top whatever.
Yeah.
Like maybe.
Yeah.
Not even a class for
top
like the end of the thing. But
Yeah.
like the top like
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
And like take
Yeah.
People, like top 25 people, or
Yeah.
50 or
So it doesn't even have to be
100
like a
people.
class
More people go
thing.
for it.
It can just be like whatever top.
And it'd be more competitive and we'd have games.
That
Or
would-
you could just make it like a certain point limit.
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
I feel like
'Cause I
people
remember-
like didn't really know about the prizes, which wasn't like a big deal, but like I feel like people just forgot about it.
Like if we set up like incentives, like people, whoever wins to reach like 100 points, you get like a little gift card. Once you reach 200 points, you
Yeah.
get like something else, like something a little bigger. Because I know like at the end, like I was looking at like kind of the big like who was like the top leaders, and like I think maybe 1 or 2 people got to 300. So if we put like a really big incentive at like 300, 400 points, it'd be pretty cool.
You
I
exempt
just picture
exams.
someone really,
Exempt exams, I
someone
would
really
still be-
extreme hardcore,
Oh.
like out at middle school golf, shirt off, chest painted, just like going crazy. Like
That'd be so
I'm getting my
funny.
points.
Yeah.
That'd be so funny.
Wait, did middle school have a spirit up?
No. But I mean, like we could.
But like we should do their events as well. Like we're only doing high school events, so like we should be
Yeah.
able to be like, okay, like JV football is happening on Saturday. Like come out, whatever.
I
I've
don't know if
envi-
we should do awards for them yet. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that's perfect. You're good.
I don't think we should do like big awards for them yet, because you know we want them to have something to look forward to high school, and like it can't just be like the
Yeah.
same thing.
Like, once you
But
get
like
here,
definitely
just
like
wait.
going to
Yeah.
them and like saying like, hey, this is what's up, whatever, pass out candy, the whole shebang. But I think more candy would only be for like elementary school. But yeah, so
Yeah, how much middle school do y'all do?
Oh yeah.
None at this point?
not really.
Not much.
Not a
'Cause
whole lot.
I wonder if you could do sort of a token gesture, like their last football game of the year, or some other thing where you
Like
maybe
the,
read some people went to chapel and hyped up a little with them and didn't try to steal the show, but just sort of hyped up, and then maybe showed up for that game, and it was like, we hope to see y'all next year, you know. But it's just one way to support
That's
Yeah.
good.
without going overboard.
And it could be a thing where like maybe not. We probably can't be done
Yeah.
on Fridays because that's when the high school is. But like at some point during the week, being like, okay, here's what's going on in high school, but especially for y'all's level, and like announce what the sports that they have, so it's not like we're just kind of
Like a
focusing
special
on
like
ourselves.
announcement if we could. Like I know that we like have ours like someone from like the football team or something will like if they have a game like come out and like or like in the over the
Yeah.
microphone like say something. If we could go to the middle school and be like 8th grade's got a huge game today. We're gonna RedZone's gonna show out today and like all this stuff. Just kind of like hype it up a little bit more so it sounds like it's like a really big game like it would be for the high schoolers.
Yeah.
also, you know how like high school gets the little like tag, the RedZone tags to get in for free. What like if we did like a game where like we just hand out like tickets to the middle schoolers or
I like that.
something?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Speaking of those tags, we need to find a better option. Because those were like
They tore
they
so
fell
much.
apart. Mine, yeah, well, I mean,
You know what we need to do is we need
You have to
to.
get like an app
You
where you
can
can
get
like
an app.
scan it. Or
That'd be
something.
You can.
Oh, can't wait for
I just
you.
take a
Yeah.
picture of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like,
They
But like,
get
yeah,
mad
some
at us.
people,
people
yeah.
then will send it to like somebody else, and then somebody will send it that
Everyone
way.
wants
Yeah.
the same
If you're
picture and
not like
possible.
known like to them, like
And
they're
there's an
not
Yeah.
app
gonna
where you
do
can.
So, like, you should have,
scan
like,
it,
a
'cause I
certain,
lost
like-
mine all the
yeah.
time.
I'm
What
sure we
about
could figure out
student
something like
ID?
wallet
would have to get a
with your like app, your
Student
Like
like
that.
wallet app, you know?
That'd be awesome.
You have the little ones that you like.
Don't our student
the
IDs have like
QR
barcodes on them or
codes.
something?
Yeah, she's talking about like the QR codes that are like connected to like your student account, so like you can just have like
Don't
yours
they already have
connected.
those kind of scanner things?
They do.
Yeah, but, like,
We're like
Yeah.
the high school who doesn't let
that.
people get in for free with student IDs, so like
Yeah.
maybe like a student ID.
We're the only school that makes our students pay.
So the RedZone tag gets them in for free.
Yeah, so like you
They have to
pay,
pay before.
so like you pay in advance. It's like $75, I think, to have like a RedZone like season pass. So like every time you go, you get
Yeah.
it free.
Yeah.
So like, what?
We're
It's
getting
gotta
to
take us
pay.
to a different door.
Or like have a RedZone door?
Yeah.
That
So
would
that's
be
how
like,
they,
yeah.
it's not
You
like
go
we're
around
getting
back.
stuck
My
behind
mom
that
tried
giant
to
line.
find
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah, we could open. There's like another. She said that we should have like a RedZone door, so like have somebody that does like that's in RedZone that like lets other people that's in the RedZone come in through that door instead of having to like go
Maybe,
through
and
the
I don't know
line
if
to
it
pay
work.
for it.
I don't know if this will work, but if you got some sort of sticker, like a quality miniature sticker that students could put on their ID, they always have their ID with them.
Yeah.
And if it was a RedZone
Or like a
specific
phone.
branded
What
thing,
ID?
I mean, like your student ID, yeah,
Yeah. Or like
then it'd be as cool.
Yeah,
but
that like wallet app on your
Yeah.
phone, like
Pull that
I
out
know
and
that
then-
drama did
as long as it
use,
doesn't fall
that
out during the
brand
year,
stuff, like so if
but-
we could get like something like that, like scan it.
I think the RedZone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or like this is gonna
That'd be
be
cool.
maybe a pain, but like at some games, like I would just check off like the paper, like just having like whatever, you know, like put their signatures or something by it.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
done that.
Because like, don't you have a list of everyone that like bought the RedZone thing? So like, basically, you can have somebody at the door that like knows almost everybody in RedZone. So like, okay, yeah, you came in, like I know you're really on RedZone. Instead of like having like
Or like a
the
list that you
ladies
just
that work
check.
at the football games, they don't really know. They just work there and like give the money out and tickets. So it's
Well,
better.
I've been to multiple baseball games where my friends will forget their thing and walk up and say, "Oh, I'm on the red zone list," and they're like, "We don't have a list."
Yeah.
They
That's
don't,
what
they
I
just
What are you
don't know.
talking
So
about?
maybe like if they forgot like their like sticker, there would be like a list there just in case, and like they could like
Yeah.
check them off or something.
And like, it'll help if like somebody's on red. Like if Izzy was like running at the table with like the ladies, like she's like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, I know them. Like that's really them. Like they can get in instead of like, because like
And it
they don't
could
really
be-
know people.
It could be a thing. This will be a pain just like once, but I think it'll pay off. Like having the list printed, but like laminate it so you can just do it with like X1 markers, so you don't
Yeah.
have to keep.
That's a
Well,
good
you,
Yeah.
can have
Smart.
you can even have a list on your phone or something, and then you like instead of like finding their name, you can type it in,
Yeah, search
Yeah.
and it'll
It's
come
like
up.
doing the
It'll search it.
roll.
It'll come up. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
If we had like a red zone like group
Yeah.
meet, I mean not group meet, like a thing on campus,
Like
Yeah.
a class
a group
page.
class,
Yeah.
we can find these.
So it's
So
like
everyone
a-
just type in their name, it'll come up.
Yeah.
Would
And they'll
it
have
be-
like their
you-
school
you could-
picture and
You
everything.
could print off roster lists too if they
Yeah.
needed it.
Yeah.
A paper list.
Is it one of those things? If we had it on our phone, would that change everything? Like if I could just, I had
Like
something
an
on my
airport
phone
thing,
and
and
just
you just like do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you're
Yeah,
going
no,
to
that-
I think
Is that- would
if
that-
you have it on your
Yeah.
phone, almost everyone's gonna have their phone at the games.
No,
especially
everyone's
if it's-
gonna have their
Yeah.
phone.
because they're
Yeah.
gonna be like,
That would
oh,
be
I need to. How am I gonna?
You can make
use
what?
phone?
QR
Like, something
codes?
like that.
Yeah, you can put
Yeah.
like your phone.
The
You
key
have
would be
standards.
it recognizing only one check-in, because otherwise, share
Can we
that
just
and everybody.
share
Well,
the
if we had like certain ones that's like a QR code, it has their name on it.
Yeah, you
Mhm.
can have like certain
Sure.
codes connected to people's like.
It's like a card that
Names.
says like your name.
It's kind of
like our student
specific
ID
to
has a certain scan for
a
each
snap,
person.
like a snap
Yeah.
code type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
this is them.
Yeah.
That's you.
Like your Spartan
Okay.
ID like numbers.
Mhm.
What would be legit
Or
is
they
if
could
they
just
scanned
type
it,
in.
came up with your picture.
Yeah.
Boom, there you are.
I mean,
Yeah.
Or
We
like
asked technology to see if
in
they have
public school, like when I
Yeah.
had to buy my lunch, I had to like type in a certain like number.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So
same
if
with
we
me.
give like
Yeah.
people number, I don't
Yeah.
know, but
Student ID.
Yeah, I think having
Have like a
come up
little
with
login thing.
and that's, you know, it's
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's so
Sure.
scan it off.
Well, yeah, if they, so like if you put, I mean, all y'all have something like this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone's got like.
Everyone has that.
So
yeah.
if you had a really dependable sticker that went somewhere, I would think person should, they've already got their picture on it.
I think that's a good idea.
And
It's
Or-
got a
Yeah.
unique
It's gonna help the library a lot.
red
too, 'cause everyone's
zone
losing theirs.
sticker
Mhm.
that stays
Yeah.
on there. If someone were to lose it, I mean, I guess they could come back and say, hey, I
I'd
lost
honestly
it.
just put mine on my phone.
Or
Yeah,
would it be
put on the
possible?
Yeah, I will put it on the back of my case or something.
Yeah,
Ooh.
behind my case.
Like,
What if we got a sticker that was your
Oh,
Well, that's
code
true.
on there?
red
And
zone.
like,
Yeah, you
and
can
like
get
it wouldn't be
stickers.
hard to
Maybe
peel
like
off. So
a
like when you're
sticker
done
with like a
Like
little
the-
like scanning
the-
thing on it, and then they just have to scan
Like
it.
a QR sticker?
Yeah,
Like a QR
But it
sticker.
could be
Because
like
if you
the
peeled it,
same
it'd ruin
time,
it, sort of.
like,
So it'd be,
But like, because you could stick it like without like a case on it.
Or like
Yeah.
even like you wouldn't even
So
need
you
like
don't lose it.
if we just did the sticker, then you probably wouldn't even need a QR code. You could just be like, oh, like same thing that we do with the tags. Just be like
Have their
that.
name.
But they'd have to
there.
make a really like specific sticker.
But
It'd be,
like
a
a
red
red
one.
sticker,
Yeah.
would it be possible like our student ID cards to have red zone cards just like
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
our picture on
With
them?
your picture, and then you have like
That's-
that number.
That's a good
connected.
question. Some of this that we're talking about, and they're great ideas. There's some of the things that are out of our control. Like we don't order the actual tags ourselves. That's through the athletic department. So they provide us with this is how you're going to do it type of thing. But these are ideas that I can bring to Miss Cisco and Coach Hardy and just say, hey, these are some things that we can propose. I've heard some new ideas that have possibly been thrown around, but I don't know what the idea are.
Yeah.
Be good.
So I think that with like just like where we are in the year right now, like our focus mainly needs to be first if like we get a retreat approval, we need to plan that out and like see like what are we going to come up with chants or like whatever. And then I think we should pursue the red zone door thing because I think that's probably the easiest thing with
can, like,
games that we can get
Yeah.
done
We
so
could
far.
cheesy with
Because there's
like
a
a little frame.
there's a door that's like,
That'd be, like-
you have the main door and then like
There's
on
a
the other
door
side, yeah, by
Yeah.
the
Just like in like
aquatic
every
center.
gym and stuff like that.
Hey, you
And
gotta-
another door.
You got to think though too. Are we talking every game, every event?
I think it could be overplayed a little bit more on some games. Like if the bigger games,
I think-
like, the bigger
Yeah, it's
tailgates,
Football and
have,
basketball
like,
would
yeah,
be
the
like
fog machine out there.
because like you know the doors that we
like
shoot
when
at
everybody comes
downstairs.
in, just kind of like the fog machine's going up a little bit, and there's like balloons and like a
I
little
mean, we can
like
wait.
some lights
Just
that
put,
go
yeah,
around.
you don't need
And
like
then,
a big thing.
Like
Just
if there's
the
like
balloons.
there's the red zone door kind of like off to the side. You just be like a big red door, and just like
Yeah.
a normal like there could be like really big things, and there could be also really small things.
Mhm.
That kind of just like
Because
uh,
like
sit, and then
there's
there's
some
also
basketball games, like
there's-
everyone goes in one door, and red zone could just go in the other one on the other side.
Yeah.
Because like, or they're down like the halls.
yeah.
Or like, 'cause you have for basketball, you either go to the cap or you go upstairs.
Yeah.
You go like on the bottom.
Yeah, there's a, like the bottom doors you get through
Yeah.
forum.
So
Like right when you
Yeah.
walk in the form, that door right there. You go.
I think it's a good idea. I'm just telling you, like with the athletic department, they pay people to do that.
Well, we could have like one of us.
Yeah,
like stand there too.
like you can check in with the people. Like you have your sticker and be like, hey, red zone door, go through.
honestly, for basketball games, the red zone door might not be as necessary because I know every time I'm getting tickets, there's like nobody in line, and like it's not that nobody goes; people just like come in at all
Yeah, they
different
come
times.
Yeah.
So I think more for like, honestly, probably just for football games. We're gonna do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's where all the parents are coming to, and like parents,
Does
families,
parents have
just like
red zone?
Yeah, parents pay for red zone.
families are just coming in to see their kids.
My sister has
play.
red zone. I mean, she
Yeah.
has one of those tags.
See, I never bought it because I only needed.
So
Do we do the red zone tailgate inside the football field?
Wait, huh? What'd you
Like,
say?
but
think
the
if you're
parents,
gonna-
but the
if
parents
you're gonna
know
do
go
the-
to there.
If you're gonna do the
Just on the
paint,
side.
it would have to be maybe not on the football field, but on
The staircase by the
the
aquatic center.
gallery type of place,
Yeah.
like right there, like there's like the
Where they
there's like
put
the
up
fence. It's like right around
Yeah.
the football field, and then there's the gate.
Yeah, or
That
or
area.
just you know where the
Maybe like
stairs
have
are.
like a little
they do
special
like
thing.
there on
they
that
do like
Because there's-
lunches and stuff there sometimes. so,
But the
like,
problem,
yeah,
that's why it's the red seats. Parents that buy the seats get
Oh, yeah.
the dinner with it. So like
It's a big
the
deal.
dinner's already like set up for them.
Yeah.
So
We do something
Keep it.
in like the underneath the stadium, or like behind it, because I know that nothing ever really goes on back there behind it. We could always do something
That's where you
cool
can
back
put
there.
the door. You put the door on the side and have it like right there for the,
Yeah.
the hamburgers
And everyone's like,
stuff,
"Oh, come in here." Tailgate switched it over.
Good.
Yeah.
and then have them walk in.
It's cool.
One last thing that is probably it's going to be a really easy task for us to do. It won't be that hard. Since we're having more like underclassmen, like within like being like within red zone. It's always seniors like going up, and I think that sometimes like it could be like a senior and a freshman or sophomore and like whatever, like talking in front of the school, like letting them know about stuff because like. I remember when I was a freshman, like seeing people up there, like I looked up to them and stuff, but like I didn't know who they were. So I think that like maybe like Piper or somebody or like for her grade or like whoever is a freshman that's wants to announce could like whoever's comfortable with it. Obviously, some people might not want to talk in front of the school.
We get like a Tyler Garrett come up for
but-
the sophomores, because I know he's always
Yeah.
ready to jump into action.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I love it. I love these ideas, y'all. It's good.
What day do we leave for the retreat this year?
We leave like Wednesday.
we leave earlier.
I think we
Seniors leave
come
early.
back.
We leave like
Leave Tuesday,
that-
come back Thursday.
I believe.
Yeah,
Wait,
because
that sounds
that's
right.
what last year we had, and then we went to school on Friday, and then we had a game Tuesday at night.
Wait, do we still have like a whole day of school first, and then we go?
We don't. The
Monday is also good too. So.
You guys go at
like
8, we go at 12. I think it's like
Yeah,
a
we
couple
leave.
hours.
We leave early.
Oh,
and we just
this new
kinda hang
schedule's
out for,
going-
like a few hours, and then they come up and then.
I'm already confused.
Oh, yeah.
This is right.
Exactly.
Or like last year, how we go to school for 2 days.
I think it's one day.
Oh,
And
We
then-
go one day
That's
and
even
leave
worse.
Tuesday
So
morning.
dumb.
That's us, but the rest of them go.
I'd rather
back,
go a
like, to
week and then
school
go.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
Wait, is it a full day or is it a half day?
For us,
I think
Yeah,
it's
that's
full
fine.
because like we have a new schedule this year.
No, I mean like
Oh,
we
that's
come
right.
today and then
Yeah.
I'm
So
already
Izzy,
confused.
It goes, we come Monday, and then we leave Tuesday morning, while the rest of them have like
I'm
a
saying-
shortened schedule.
yeah, I know. I'm saying, but like, do we have a full day Monday?
Yeah.
Yes.
Why? What are we doing?
It's
You're
not your
you're
parents,
meeting your
it's your
teachers
parents
and like
taking
learning your
notes.
schedule.
That's the
Yeah.
reason
And
they
then
do it.
Friday we have
I already.
That's the
Always,
reason.
all these
I love
always
meetings.
they talk to us for 15
We're gonna
minutes
talk
before
about that.
Oh, how's your first day?
Like when? Like what's the date? I would say mid-July. What do you think?
And then we have full day
That's
on
good.
Friday.
Like after July
Then
4th
we
week
have full day
and stuff.
Friday.
That's even worse.
Oh my god, that would be awful.
I'd rather stay there one more day. If we can make it a longer thing, because I know that whenever we go, I know we probably can't change it now, but like making it a longer, just like maybe one more day, it'd be so much.
I think it's because other
Yeah.
schools
Thinking
also
when
go.
to mention.
Oh, really?
Maybe it's next time.
Yeah.
Service opportunities.
Just to- yeah.
Like there's so many
No,
places for
RedZone.
us to go for the retreat. Like we can definitely go.
I think that's awesome. Actually, I put that down.
It might be worth just.
Yeah, even
I
like
know we have like we always have a rave and like everybody.
I think that
Yeah.
actually had it here.
have a
like a,
Yeah.
I think that's a great thing.
We could go because there's that big old field that's next to the water
Yeah.
slide.
Yeah.
Like
We come up there.
Actually, I put that down.
And the thing
Have,
is
a
like
huge,
And
like,
New Mini
dog
World
sled.
Tour.
Power
Yeah.
Cup part 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was so
we need
fun.
like more fits because like
Yeah.
I'm gonna put that in the ideas.
Like in the middle of the day or in the year.
yeah, that's
After a while,
like
it's
free time hours. Like we need more.
We should have a competition. We should have a competition. Like, I mean, we did, but like it gets a little boring.
Yeah.
After a while, it gets a little boring.
Or like
Like scheduled thing.
like
So,
that
yeah.
4
So
hours
if
of
we're
like
gonna have like a big
free
competition,
time.
Straight free
Like we need like more
Some,
events. Like we can have like
juniors,
an
freshmen,
hour. Like oh, you guys can like
yeah, a big group and like have a schedule.
we literally have like nothing. The guys walk around naked half the time. Do whatever on the water slide.
I'm telling you, I've been looking forward to Powerpuff since like
That was
the
the
school
one
year.
last year.
Like ever since our last game, I'm like, I'm ready.
Yeah.
Hold up, was that at the retreat?
Yes.
I think I refed that.
I'm sorry.
I think like
You robbed
people
us.
were killing me.
You
Exactly.
robbed us.
Exactly why I'm not doing it next year.
No,
Exactly.
Okay.
People were like,
Juniors won last year.
girls were like
He gave
cussing
your
me
ring
out.
this year.
He
robbed us.
Passion is still there.
I should have won it. They're like, no, she made it. I'm like, no, she
No,
didn't. I
I'm
tagged
so
her.
mad. I went so hard for that game.
Hannah was in it, right?
Freshman.
Yeah, I think-
all of
Yep,
us were
we all
so
in-
I have the
No.
picture of the whole team. I was so mad.
No, all of us were so
Y'all were angry. I understand.
because you
tagged
robbed
her,
us.
and I'm like,
Coach
yeah, I
said you
tagged her,
robbed
but like,
us.
they just ignored it.
I was
And
the only ref, and y'all like every play, like it would be a catch or whatever. I would like make a call, and then literally there'd be like 20 girls around me, like, ah! Like I'm not yelling.
No, and he'd
Like,
be like, 2
oh
head
God,
touch. I said,
please
I
help me.
did. And he would be like, no, you didn't.
And having like Josh Rosen.
I think you
Josh
cussed
Rosen
me
coming
out. I
and
think
I'm
you
like,
cussed
I probably
me out.
gotta do this.
You're like, what the?
See, look, this was our team last year.
That was
Oh,
our
man.
team.
See, we look so
Beast
tough.
mode. This is
Y'all
awesome.
were
We
so
were
good.
ready.
Y'all were
Yes,
so
we have
good.
No, we were like angry. 'Cause we were all such angry people.
Exactly.
Just, like,
We had
Chantel and
plays.
Kennedy were killing it. They were so good.
I'll
We
be
had
honest.
plays. We had the cinnamon roll. We had the tornado. Like we had
We were
plays.
all
Like,
screaming
we
at each
knew.
other, but we
There's
were
one
like-
person
we
I
were
was
like-
scared on the seniors team, Alex Hathaway.
Alex,
Yes,
I was the one who was
was
up
a
against
beast.
her.
I thought she was gonna hurt me. Like the way she looked at me, and it was just like,
Yeah,
you
no,
better
she
give
was
me this, or
serious.
I'm gonna hurt you. It was bad.
See, but all I did was follow us. Like we actually had plays. Like we know we were
I
doing.
promise
like,
you
we
we
had
won that.
fakes
We
and
won
everything. Like oh my goodness, we were.
I'm still salty to
I
this
love
day
you.
because
You
we
have
won
plays
that
like
game.
called tornadoes.
I did not sweat that much for
Like we
nothing.
had names for plays. Like we had certain people. Like okay, run the ball. Hey, do a fake. Like we were talking.
That's awesome.
Wait, no, you cheated us. We had you cheated us.
Probably.
We'll win this year. I mean,
By
even
default.
if we don't, we're seniors, so we can say we won. It's fine.
Oh, you do. So who's gonna stand up this year and scream, "This is our senior year"?
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
I've had a reminder in my phone since that day. Remember for next year, Sarah May quote, and then
She thought you had the entire like just like this is our year. Like I don't care. Blah blah blah. It's about, people say it's not about us, but it is about us.
Saying,
but it makes this year good for us.
It's
No,
amazing.
we say it's about Jesus, but really,
Yeah.
really.
It's really about. Remember Sarah Beck?
8, 6, 18.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
walk with the train, you're like, did you just cut us? And she goes, move, I'm a senior.
She took it too far.
Alright.
Wow.
I promise you, like I don't really care that much. I'm gonna be like,
Yeah,
go
it's-
ahead.
everybody's
Yeah.
gonna
At some point,
Exactly. You're gonna eat. And the thing is, why are you rushing for
You know
sage?
why I won't do that to people?
Sage.
Because I remember how bad it felt, like someone doing it to me. So I was like, I'm not gonna do it to you because I remember being like,
And just no one cares about food that much. Like,
Yeah,
what's
yeah.
good?
Yeah,
We're all gonna
you'll
get
get food.
You
Yeah.
gotta let Elijah.
I mean, like
Dang.
we have enough advantages as it is. We don't need to treat people like crap. Like no, that doesn't need to happen.
So, in our next meeting, is it cool if we meet like near mid-July? Is that okay? If you can't make it, I'm going to do the YouTube hangout again, where you'll be able to basically be in the meeting without being in the meeting, that sort of thing. That way you kind of stay up to date. There's 4 things I want you to think about, and I actually put them on here, so it'll be the last thing if you want to come by and take a picture. 4 quick things. Mr. House had a great point about service opportunities. How can we serve together as a RedZone leadership or RedZone group team
Oh yeah.
to be able to serve somewhere, right? What a cool idea, I thought.
It's like a whole team.
Yeah.
I'd like that. I like
We
that.
can do like
Can I mention what that?
Sweet,
Okay.
go.
So it could be anything. It could be a very simple service project. But I've been a part of a few things where, like, let's say we did something radical and we ever went over to Meadow Creek, and as a neighboring school did something that was like, we're going to come just be fans of you guys for this one thing. I don't know what that looks like. And they would have to want us to, and it actually worked well for them. But you don't want to impose yourself. But I've done a few things like that where people are like, really? Yeah, we just want to come and support your team. Y'all, you're playing your route. And it sounds radical, but it can really build bridges.
We did like a field day.
yeah.
We also have
Yeah.
them come to one of our games.
Yeah, we can even like
Possibly.
free
They can get them
tickets
for
to our
free.
game.
They can get them for free if they wanted to.
Yeah.
Come.
Just that gesture of we care about you guys and want you to know it goes a long way.
Yeah.
It could be something. If we went over and I don't know what it would be, make signs or bring cookies. It could be super small, but
Yeah.
I love that.
it could also be some more traditional service things, just
Yeah.
someplace down the road or wherever where
Like corners
RedZone
outreach
win
or
as a
something.
group. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've
Easy.
also, with my church, I've been doing this for so many years, but this might be like over the top, but it's called like, it used to be called Stop Hunger Now, but it's called like Rise Against Hunger or something, but you like package meals for like Kenya or something, and like, I've been like a part of that for like a long time, and it's like really cool. So we like donate like a certain amount of money, and that's how many like meals
That's
you
cool.
make. So it's like an assembly line or like whatever. I like tried to brought that like, I want to bring the idea to the school. I just haven't been able to yet. But
Cool, man.
I've been wanting to do that too.
I'll say something I did once. This was an Impact. If any of y'all ever heard of that, at Lipscomb University, there was 2 inner city baseball teams, youth baseball teams, and they'd invited them to come play at their field. It was a pretty nice field, and a bunch of the people from Impact had planned this kind of secretly. So when the 2 teams showed up, they were used to playing in front of not big crowds. I mean, it was very simple. It was just a youth league or whatever, and kids from different challenges in their background. And so we made T-shirts, we made signs, we got the roster list and made signs with kids' names on them. And for the entire baseball game, we just went nuts. And I mean, it almost brought you to tears because you saw these kids like living the greatest athletic moment of their life, you know? They don't even know who these people are, but people are cheering their names.
We could be their own.
It's
Red
like the
Zones,
emotion you
like,
felt.
yeah,
It's-
we could be their Red Zone, like.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
since like since what RedZone is, like we're like a club to cheer people on. So I think that whatever service we do should be something like that, like related like that. Because I mean, I think that just fits.
It's the vibe.
Because like you could do something like if you bring like a package of like, diapers to a game, you can get in free, stuff like that.
Oh, like
So
Toys for
Benevolent
Tots,
items.
like bringing
Yeah,
like
benevolent item.
Yeah, but you're still like
it's like
donating
kind of like
something.
Toys for Tots, like bring
Yeah,
it.
you bring like a kid's toy and you can go to the game for free, or you can get like popsicles or something.
Cool. I love these ideas, y'all. So yeah, think about other ideas. We're going to bring those back that next meeting. Let's try to come up with some more ideas and think about maybe hone in on a couple, and then maybe we'll vote in on one, and we can do this semester. The second thing I want to just quickly, we'll talk about it next time. How can we be more team-oriented among ourselves? One thing that was a huge challenge was one person would get offended because someone felt like they overstepped their bounds. It created a hole in our red zone team, and then all of a sudden everyone was offended, and it really kind of drew us to where you saw the kind of us digress as the year went on. So how can we create that team culture, that team type of thing? Is it something we just need to kind of hang out together and just kind of have community among ourselves? That might be kind of cool. Maybe we go to someone's house or whatever. But just think about that. How can we create that? Also, the next thing we're going to talk about next time is senioritis is a real thing. Okay. It is real.
It already is.
I understand. But it also affects not just your academics, it affects also red zone. Okay. So how can we think about maybe passing the torch a little bit to the juniors as they go into 2019? So not now, but as we go to 2019, not totally give it to them, but allow them to have some leadership to be able to step up juniors and sophomores in that way. Just thinking about that. I don't want to, here's the big thing. I don't want to this is, again, for those of you who are seniors, I'm not trying to get rid of you during that time, but I think that might be helpful.
Because we'll all be focused on different things. I'm not
Yeah, because we're gonna know we're going to college.
Yeah.
We're gonna be like.
Yeah, so I remember like last year, once like everyone started like doing like trying to set out their like college stuff, they started like leaving their responsibilities to, like me and Izzy. Like I would have to clean up and like try to get.
Oh yeah, me and Michael stayed for like an hour.
Yeah, like just to kind of like I would like miss like a first quarter of a game so I could like start to like clean up and like just like learning like the things that like went into like the tailgates and like how to like actually like run the red zone.
Yeah.
So I mean it helped a lot. Like now that like they're gone, like where I'm coming back up, like to here, like I'll know exactly what to do, and like hopefully if we do it right, the kids behind us will also know what to do.
Bingo. And I would love the red zone team actually to be able to be kind of the calendar year instead of the school year. And what I mean by that is I'm not doing it this year or not looking to do it this year, but doing it almost from January all the way through 2019 and then passing that torch for the next school, next class coming through. So we're looking in terms of that. I want to get your feedback. We'll talk about that next time. And then the last thing is just trying to figure out one common time to meet and communicate. That was a challenge last year. I proposed some things to administration, but just trying to get y'all's feedback and ideas because y'all are extremely busy. I mean, I see a lot of events, different things going on, and things come up, but creating maybe a culture of communicating during this one time, and that way we kind of have an idea of when we can do that.
Are we allowed to get out of chapel for something like that?
It's a great question.
We're all there.
It probably will depend on what chapel they're doing.
And also,
It's like a Friday Night Live.
But
Yeah,
Friday
not
chapel,
Friday,
sometimes
Friday
you might
night,
need to like talk to
whatever it's
them or
called.
something.
Live
There's also,
1575
We're
live.
even alive.
Okay.
Friday
Now
now that we're like
It's been a while.
since we're having like that hour of like free time out here.
Oh yeah, they're not allowed to like do the fun things.
after
afterwards,
school,
because
after
that's
school.
supposed to be
That's
like, I
supposed
think
to
I'm
be
like
supposed to be study hall.
teachers
Yeah,
or like
like-
city hall. I just think
It's only
Oh,
because
let's be
like
excited
after
to talk
school.
about what we're gonna do because we're changing it.
Yeah, but you
Anything-
come in
I
late.
think
Anything
got a lot of trouble. Anything that we do will definitely have to be like during the day because I think that's the only time that we will literally get everyone to show.
Because when we
Because
go
we
out-
have sports afterwards too.
Yeah.
I mean, I
I
know
know,
my
it's so
coach is like
stupid,
doing
like,
it like right after school.
Yeah,
We
we
can
have to
meet
go
during
out
some
somewhere.
lunches.
Hey, I hope
Like,
this was
don't
helpful
know.
for those of you who weren't here. Have a good one. We'll see y'all later. See ya.